Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel. It's Record Store Day again. Record Store Day 2025. I was pretty impressed with this year's list. There hasn't been a list with so many records I've wanted in probably it could be 10 years now. It's been quite a while. Just a lot of killer stuff. I got up at 4 this morning, and the two local stores, I knew each only got one copy of two of the main albums I wanted. So I got up early to try to get in line, and at both record stores, the lines were already, 30, 40 deep. Maybe not that much, but there were quite a few in line. And I just decided I wasn't going to sit there for 3 hours, 4 hours at the other store, knowing that those records would already be gone by the time I got to the front. So I just went back home, got back in bed, and woke up at 10. And at 10, I went to the record store, the closest one that usually has the best prices on Record Store Day. And funny enough, both of those records that they only got one copy of, they still had. I believe there's only one record that I really wanted that I didn't run across. And in hindsight, I probably don't really want it. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But so it ended up being a good day. Like I said, there was a lot that I wanted. There's a couple that I wanted as well that I just walked away from because the prices were ridiculous. So I really wanted the Marcus King Live triple album. That looked really good. But it was almost $60. It was either $56 or $57, and I didn't want it that much. The Ramones was $40-something. The Ramones Live, and I went back and forth on that, but I put it back. I love the Ramones, and I've been getting into them quite a bit more over the last year or two. However, I'm still not a fan of their live stuff, especially their later stuff. I can't remember if this was in the 90s, if I remember correctly. It may have been later, but I want to say it was early 90s. And I've heard some live stuff from that era that wasn't that great. So, it just wasn't worth the money for me, especially so I ended up putting it back. I'm trying to think. There were a few more that I saw that I just thought were way overpriced. Actually, overall, though, the prices were pretty good. I only have two single LPs that were outside the 20s, and one's $31, and one is like $39, which is way overpriced for it. I was kind of annoyed by that. But overall, the pricing, I think, is getting back in line with what it should be. A couple of the double LPs I thought were a little too much, but they were ones that I really wanted. So the number one thing on my list when I saw the Record Store Day list this year, the Record Store Day list this year, was DFFD from the Dictators. I got into a huge Dictators kick about 2 years ago. It was one of those bands I always knew about, I always liked the one album that I had, but I would pull it out from time to time. And then I pulled it out one time, and I was just really digging it, and I went out and bought all the rest of their stuff. However, the one album that they had from the 90s when they got back together, even at that time, was going for over $100, 120, 130, 140 in good condition. And I didn't want it that bad. So when I saw it was getting released for Record Store Day, I had to grab that. So Dictators DFFD. So again, both of my local record stores, the main ones in this area, each only got one copy of this. And this was the main thing that I was going to stand in line for. And I'm glad I didn't, Like I said, the one album that I didn't get that I wanted, I'm not missing too much. So Dictator, and this is actually on my turntable right now. It's just black vinyl, nothing special there, which is actually perfect for that, Let me get something to open some of these up, because I think some of them are on custom or colored vinyl. I haven't opened them yet, but so we'll get a little live opening right here. So next up was the Public Image Limited. This is another band that I first checked out maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and I just didn't get it. And again, I've been listening to a lot of late 70s and early 80s punk, especially the UK stuff that I wasn't into when I got into punk back in the 80s and 90s. It wasn't hardcore, and I was getting into hardcore. I thought a lot of the 80s or the late 70s stuff was really weak. Compared to what the Black Flag and the Dead Kennedys and stuff that I was getting into. The only stuff from the 70s I was really into was Crass. But over the last couple of years, I've been kind of getting into the post-punk stuff that I never was into before. And everybody's always telling me about Public Image Limited. Like I said, I never got into them. When I saw this was on the list, it was one that I told myself if they had it for a good price, I would grab it, and they did. So this is the debut from Public Image Limited. Apparently in '79 they re-recorded it or they remixed it for the US and then never ended up releasing it. So this is the first time that this has been released on vinyl. This is the US mix, also on black vinyl of what's it called? First issue from Public Image Limited. I believe the covers, that doesn't look like the cover I remember either. So I believe the cover's different too. Next up, this is one that was overpriced for a double album, but it was one I really wanted. I really wanted the one from last record store day. This is Reel to Reel 2. I really wanted Reel to Reel 1, but I missed Record Store Day Black Friday because I was in Louisiana with my grandfather, who ended up passing shortly after. So I do not regret missing that Record Store Day. But this is the Tesla Reel to Reel 2. Really killer covers. I really look forward to listening to this. But this is $56 for a double LP. I believe this was the most expensive record of the day. On red vinyl. It is double LP. Some really good covers though. All the Young Dudes, Make It Last, Shooting Star, Street Fighting Man, Want to Take You Higher, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, War Pigs, Saturday Night Special. That's just a few of them. I like that they did the tape box. And this isn't the first of this series. I think they've been doing some Alan Parsons projects with this same reel-to-reel look and everything. I'm just not an Alan Parsons Project fan, but really dig the Tesla stuff, so went ahead and grabbed that, even though it was way overpriced. Another one I was really excited for. I had already heard this. I believe this was in the box set, the Judas Priest, the CD box set that came with like 30 CDs. But this is recorded on the World Vengeance Tour at the Omni Atlanta, 11 December 1982. Judas Priest. So really looking forward to spinning this one as well. Don't know what's going on with my video's kind of dark for some reason. Next up, I think this is, volume 6 of the Motorhead Lost Tapes. This one's live in Berlin, 1992. I love 90s. This is a little early 90s, but I love 90s Motorhead. I've talked about this before. Everybody says that all Motorhead sounds the same. In the 90s, he changed his sound. He was singing more than just kind of yelling into the mic. And I really love some of the stuff that he did in the 80s. But there's a couple additions on here that you don't see on a lot of the other stuff, the other live stuff too, which is very cool. But volume 6 of the Lost Tapes. Next up, another one. This was the only, almost all of the single LPs were in the 20s. And this one just shot up to $40, which is annoying. But this is an album I've wanted on vinyl for a long time. We actually, on the Metal Roundtable, we just had one of the guys from Flotsam and Jetsam on the show. So go check that out. If you're not subscribed to the Metal Roundtable, go on and subscribe. And we actually talked about this record. I saw them on tour right before this came out, maybe a year before this came out. But this is High from Flotsam and Jetsam. One of the cool things on here that I've always liked is the back cover. All the songs are in the fonts of their favorite some of their favorite bands, which is very cool. So you got the Halloween font, the Twisted Sister, the Misfits font, the Van Halen font, the Monsters of Rock and Metallica font, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, the Kiss font. It's just fantastic. So loving this one though. Really looking forward to spinning that one later on today. This is one I was kind of on the border. This is one of those records I've always wanted. And I just never run across it. And this wasn't on my original list, but once I saw it, I went ahead and grabbed it. I love the new artwork on here that was done by Wayne Nichols. And there's another one with Wayne Nichols, but this is one of the all-time classic metal albums, World Downfall from Terrorizer. If you haven't heard this album, I highly recommend checking it out. It is fantastic. So really happy to finally have that one in the collection. Hopefully it sounds good. Earache has been kind of funny. 90% of the stuff that I get from Earache sounds fantastic, but about 10% sounds horrible, and there's no in between. And it just seems to be a pressing quality thing. I got 3 different pressings of Swan Song from Carcass before I got one that sounded good. The others were full of pops and just sounded terrible. So not a sound issue, just a pressing quality from the pressing plant that they used. Next up, another one that I wasn't going to buy because I thought it was going to be like $40. But it is one of my favorite bands. As a matter of fact, I was just listening to one of their albums right before I put on the Dictators. But this is Jailbreak Alternate Versions. They've done a couple of these over the years, but you've got demo versions, alternate takes, acoustic stuff, instrumentals. So very cool. Really looking forward to spinning this one. I'm glad I got it. And again, like I said, I thought this was a lot of these that were like $28, $29 and stuff that would have been like $40 1 or 2 record store days ago. So the prices are getting back to where they should be. So Thin Lizzy. Next up, the other one with the Wayne Nichols artwork. I already have a pressing of this, but this isn't just one of my favorite bands of all time. This is one of my favorite metal albums of all time. And one of the more important in the death metal arena, although some people would not call this death metal. This is more kind of death grind. This is Carcass moving from the grindcore into the death metal, but this is just one of those perfect records. I bought this when it came out, and it kind of changed my taste in music. And that's Necroticism, Descanting the Insalubrious from the mighty Carcass. And the artwork is redone on here, and it looks really killer. I had to buy it, you know. I love this band. Again, one of the most important albums in metal. You know, a lot of people talk about what was the album? Heartwork, or they argue between Heartwork and one of the At the Gates albums being the introduction of melodic death metal. I disagree with them. I believe that this album is the introduction. There's still a lot of grindcore on this, though, but you start to hear that introduction into melodic death metal on this album, and you can hear that this really influenced At the Gates, and of course influenced Carcass, because with their next album, Heartwork, they had basically made the move to melodic death metal. So, but man, such a great album, so important. If you're a metalhead, this is something you have to have in your collection. It's just one of those perfect albums. Next up, another one that I was really looking forward to. And again, I thought it was going to be crazy expensive, and it wasn't. $29. This is the Desolation Boulevard Live and Demos 50th Anniversary pressing. Just one of those classic albums from the suite. They had a 3-album. This was part of a 3-album series that were just perfect, in my opinion. With this one, especially with the U.S. pressing of Desolation Boulevard. But let's see what we got. We got a couple live tracks. We got Ballroom Blitz, The 16s, Turn It Down, Lady Starlight, AC/DC, those are all live. And then we've got demos of Medusa, Fox on the Run, Burn on the Flame, Into the Night, and Set Me Free. So really, really looking forward to spinning this one. I really like the artwork. I love that they kept the theme from the Desolation Boulevard, but give a really nice band picture on there. So again, looking forward to this one. And then last but not least, the one country album that I wanted. And this is the mighty Hank Williams III, Rebel Within. This is his only album that I didn't have on vinyl. I've had a copy on CD pretty much since it came out. So really happy to finally have this one. Just a fantastic album. If you're into Hank 3's kind of a weird dude. He's a metalhead too, for all you metalheads out there. He played in Superjoint Ritual. He was the bass player. He's been in a couple other bands. He's got his own metal band, kind of a punk metal band called Ass Jack, where he would do these weird things where he would do 3 sets when he did a show. His first show would be the Hank 3, where it's traditional country. His second set would be Ass Jack, where it's more of a metal band. And then his third, I can't remember what the other band, he had a third band where it was almost like a rockabilly sound. And I can't remember what they called them. But he would do 3 separate shows in one night, just kill it. But he's also straight up metalhead. He's been in a bunch of metal bands. The biggest one, Superjoint Ritual with Phil Anselmo. He played bass. He played drums with a metal band too. But his country stuff, man, if you're familiar with Hank Williams Sr., the original, he looks and sounds just like Hank Williams. Nothing like his dad. Nothing like Hank Williams Jr. He's more in line with Hank Williams, which is very cool. And you hear that kinship with him, and he's always talking about his grandfather in his lyrics, which is very cool too. But fantastic album. So the one album, like I said, the one that I really wanted, that I thought I wanted, now the more that I think about it, I don't know that I would even listen to it, really, was the Saxon album. It was... Oh, what album? I don't even remember what it was. It was like the second or third album, and then a second disc of live stuff. But I've got quite a bit of live stuff from Saxon from the early 80s. I've seen Saxon a few times too. They're fantastic, but had I bought it, I would have listened to it once and probably never pulled it out again. So I'm not really too upset by missing it. If I see it online for cheap, I'll still grab it. But I'm actually really happy with what I got. I can't think of anything else that was on the list that I really wanted. Like I said, I passed up on the Marcus King. That was one I wanted. And I passed up on the Ramones. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, I passed up on the Jethro Tull too. The only reason I did, though, is I find that certain stuff like the Jethro Tulls, maybe even the Ramones, it's like $35-$40, but I end up finding it used within 5 or 6 months for like $20. So it wasn't worth it to spend $40 for the Jethro Tull outtakes when I know that I'll find that cheaper. Plus, most of that stuff ends up getting reissued anyway. So that's pretty much it for me, though, guys. I hope you guys had a good record store day. Let me know what you guys got. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Later, VC.